Democrats thinking about the 2020 election, apparently going to new lengths to attack Republicans. Senator Kamala Harris is being called out by fact checkers for what critics are saying is a deliberate smear against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. Harris releasing an out-of-context video of the Supreme Court nominee using the term, here I'm quoting, abortion-inducing drugs to describe contraceptives at his confirmation hearing. The issue being Kavanaugh wasn't giving his opinion, but rather stating a plaintiff's argument in a particular case. So, Jedediah, what Kavanaugh was saying was that Priests for Life, a group that opposes abortion, was saying that they didn't want to fill out a form about contraception at this point, and that they felt that it would make them complicit potentially in stopping life. Kavanaugh says this, but then Senator Harris takes off the part in which he says they said. And so it looks like he's saying it in terms of his personal opinion, when that's not the case.
Must just be coincidence that she left those first two words out, right, Juan?
Well, she didn't, to be fair to her, she comes back and then changes the video.
She came back and she changed the video, but she doubled down on the point. She didn't apologize. She didn't say, oh, I'm so sorry. That changed the context of what he said. First of all, we all know that when you put something out on social media and it runs out there, it's done. No matter what you do, this is something that was retweeted. Where's my numbers? As of 12 p.m. today, I wrote down 15,000 retweets, over 30,000 likes on that initial tweet. Once you do that, no matter what you do after that, there's going to be a whole bunch of people that never see your correction. But she didn't come back and say, I'm sorry. She showed the whole video, and then she says, oh, but I just want to be clear, he does use the term abortion-inducing drugs, never coming out and saying, in fact, what was the case, that he wasn't summarizing his own opinion. He was summarizing their position, this Priests for Life and these other groups. I think it was completely intentional. I think she knows there's people on the left like Elizabeth Warren that are going to pick this up and going to run with it. And there's a lot of people that are not going to see the correction. They're going to be able to paint Kavanaugh as someone who can't stand contraception, who is opposed to women's rights, when in fact the guy was just doing exactly what he should do, which to summarize the opinion of the people who had brought this lawsuit against the ACA.
So, Jesse, this was a dissent, and what you see here from the Kamala Harris position is that he's using language that is strongly anti-abortion. That's the best argument I could make for her.
Well, it wasn't very good, Juan.
Okay, you got to be fair.
The Kavanaugh hearings were a complete catastrophe for the Democrats. If you think about it, Booker and Harris, the two top Democrat presidential candidates, were exposed as rude, phony liars. The rest of the Democrats were caught colluding with shrieking protesters, and the media was exposed as pushing fake news about, the handshake and some woman's fingers in the background. And all this sustained damage, and they weren't even going to be able to derail the nomination to begin with. So it was dumb. The thing with Kamala is it was such a brazen and kind of shocking disinformation play. It's like she doesn't even care if she got caught. It's so obvious. She either thought she could get away with it, or it doesn't really matter, because you know what? As a Democrat, it doesn't really matter. What happens? She gets like a few Pinocchios in a print newspaper. So what?
Which you did get.
If Ted Cruz had perpetrated some kind of deceitful propaganda on Sotomayor, this would have been all over the front page news. They would have had think pieces all over the place. Cable news would have been going haywire. There would have been a crisis of integrity within the Republican Party. So a career ender for a Republican is a Pinocchio for a Democrat.
Is that right?
That is right.
So when Trump says the economy is doing better in 100 years and people say,
just better than the Obama years.
Dana. So Jesse characterizes this as a disaster, but I think Kavanaugh's going to get through. But I think the Democrats, for their part, had to prove that they're willing to fight.
But fight on false pretenses. And Kamala Harris is a former prosecutor. If somebody would have tried this on one of her clients, she would have been furious. And I think what happens is, in a couple of these things, that the staff is trying to find something for their boss that their boss can go out and try to get some headlines with. And they don't double check it. They don't triple check it. And so then when they get caught, they're like, well, here's the full video, but we know what he really meant. Which I agree with Jesse that the coverage of Supreme Court nominees, if you're a Republican or a Democrat, is starkly different. This was also the case with Senator Booker. Remember, he comes out and says, I'm Spartacus, and I want to be thrown out of the Senate because I'm going to break the rules and release these documents. Like, oh, well, they're already available for release. But still, I'm going to release them. And then they triple down on it. And I do think, when Jesse said it's disaster for those two. But to your point, that perhaps with the progressives, maybe they just like that.
Greg?
That's okay.
Well, I mean, it shows the depths you'll go to destroy somebody if you believe that they're not just wrong, but evil. So it doesn't matter if you are being deceptive, if you are deceiving the devil. And right, and we know that we are the devil. According, but progressives believe that if you don't believe in them, that's why. Remember, they had the women dress up in The Handmaid's Tale, which reflects a dystopian future where women are forced to have babies. There's a huge misogyny. This is how they were painting this from the beginning. Was that they were evil? Although I have to give her credit, she was. I mean, she knew what she was doing. This is dirty, dirty tricks. So she may be the nominee. If she could, if she doesn't care, she might get the nominee.
But Dana suggested that it was maybe the staff that maybe she didn't know.
Yeah, throw them under the bus.